Hi, algebra students. Okay, so we're continuing the Surviving Weather Lab, and this is Module 2, Step 2, still average rate of change. So these are a little bit different. Instead of giving you the graph, these problems, some of these problems, will ask you to either graph it yourself and then find the average rate of change over a certain interval, or it'll give you a table. So again, I'm not going to be able to graph this exactly for you. You're going to have to graph this function 4x squared plus 3, graph it in Desmos, okay? And it's going to look kind of like, again, it's going to be a curve. It's going to look kind of like the ones that you have been seeing. It'll look a little bit like this, okay? And what you'll have to do is look over the interval from 2 to 4. You're going to have to pick those 2 points, basically. You're going to have to find what are the values, basically, for those 2 points. And you can do this by hand, or you can actually do it using the graph. I can actually show you how to do it by hand, but those are the 2 points you're looking for, where x equals 2 and where x equals 4. Figure out what the y values are. Okay, so this point 2 comma something and 4 comma something. All right, and then you'll find the slope, the average rate of change over that interval. Now, without doing this in Desmos, I can actually show you how to do it. And this is probably useful anyway for you to know how to do it by hand. What you can do, if this is the x value, to find the y value, all you have to do is plug it into the formula that they gave you. That's the equation. So if I do that, if I want to find y, so y equals 4x squared plus 3 really is what that is. Okay? If I want to find the y value when x equals 2, I just have to plug in a 2. So y equals 4 times 2 squared plus 3. All right, so now we got to figure this out using order of operations. 2 squared, 2 times 2 is 4. And then you multiply that number 4 by 4. Okay? So I figured out 2 squared was 4, and now I'm doing 4 times 4. It's 16. And 16 plus 3 is 19. So now I know over here, if I were to write this in, if I plug in a 2, I'm going to get 19. Okay? And then I can find the value for 4, when x equals 4. Okay? So let's write those in. So now, again, when x equals 4, I have to plug in a 4 here, and that's 4 squared. 4 squared is 16, 4 times 4. So that's doing 4 times 16, then plus that 3. Again, order of operations says do multiplication next, so we're going to do 4 times 16, that's 64. And then finally we add the 3. So 64 plus 3 is 67. So again, I'm going to come over here and I'm just going to write in 467. So now I've got my 2 points. And if you did this in Desmos, then you'd be able to figure that out by clicking on it. But you can also do it by hand. So now we can find the average rate of change. So now we're doing the slope. So again, y2, these are the y values right here that we just found. So y2 minus y1. So we're going to do 67 minus 19. And then the x values are the first values. So we're going to do 4 minus 2. All right? And it's really definitely, it's easy to find the value on the bottom for sure, because 4 minus 2 is 2. And then for 67 minus 19, again, you can do that on the calculator. You can do it mentally too by thinking 67 minus 20, and then you can add one back. But I'm just going to do it on the calculator just to make sure. So 48, okay? And then 48 divided by 2 is 24. So there is your average rate of change for that one. You're going to have another one on the very bottom, right here, that's just like it, okay? You can either do it the way I did it by plugging in the values, or you can graph it on Desmos and try to figure it out that way. All right, number 2. All right, so basically we've got this table here, and it tells us from January to November how many tornadoes occurred, okay? So they want us to find the average rate of change of the number of tornadoes per month for Illinois over the interval, or over the months from March to May. All right, so when we do this, we just have to think of January as month 1, February as month 2, March is month 3, April is month 4, and May is month 5, and so on. All we have to do is March through May, basically. So for our X values, March is the 3rd month. And then you just got to write in, how many tornadoes were there on that 3rd month. Well, if you look up at March, there were 3 tornadoes. And then May is the 5th month, so that's an X value. And we go up to May, and there were 16 tornadoes. Okay, so we can actually answer the first question. Is the number of tornadoes increasing or decreasing over the interval March to May? Well, you can see it definitely increased. I'm just going to circle that. Okay, it increased. And then by how much is the number of tornadoes increasing each month? That would be, each month would mean find the average rate of change, find the slope. So again, I've got to treat this as x1, y1, and x2, y2. And I'm just going to plug them into the slope formula again. So top, the slope formula is, on the top, y2 minus y1. So we're going to do 16 minus 3. And then on the bottom, we do the x's subtracted, right? So x2 minus x1, so 5 minus 3. 16 minus 3 is 13, and 5 minus 3 is 2. And then if you divide that, 13 divided by 2 is 6.5. So that's telling me that there's about 6.5 tornadoes each month, okay, on that interval. It's increasing by 6.5 tornadoes a month. And then I guess once it hits May, then it seems to drop off. So that's all for that one. The final thing that you're going to have to do once you finish that worksheet, and then you do check your learning, I just want you to practice another one of these. So for step 4, find the average rate of change, or find the speed of the tornado over the interval 0 to 2. I just want you to practice that again. Okay, and the average rate of change of the graph, again, it means the speed of the tornado. So this particular one is time since the tornado formed in hours. And then this is distance the tornadoes traveled in miles. So this will be slightly different because, it's in hours. So you won't have to convert at the end to hours. It'll already be in hours. But it should give you the speed of the tornado. So find the average rate of change for that one, okay?